Her true story from California. My son texted, "You won't be joining us. My wife prefers to keep it only her family." After I paid for the whole vacation, so I froze the travel fund before takeoff. They got to the airport. The money didn't. "Mom, you need to understand something. Linda wants this cruise to be just her people. You already helped by paying. That's enough." Those words came through my phone at 9:30 on a Tuesday morning, 3 days before we were supposed to leave for Alaska. I was sitting in my garden, pulling weeds from around the tomatoes my late wife Sarah planted 5 years ago. The phone buzzed in my shirt pocket. I wiped the dirt off my hands with an old rag, read it once, then twice. Then I just stared at the screen until it went black. My son didn't call me, didn't come over, just sent words through the air like he was canceling a dentist appointment. I had been planning this trip for 4 years, not 3, 4. Ever since Sarah passed, I promised myself I'd take the whole family on the Alaskan cruise she always dreamed about. She used to cut pictures from magazines, whales, glaciers, little fishing towns. She'd tape them to the fridge and say, "One day, honey, one day we'll see this together." We never did. Cancer took her before we saved enough, so I made a new promise. I'd take our son, his wife, their 3 kids, and I'd carry Sarah's picture with me. I'd show her the glaciers, the whales, everything. I worked extra hours at the hardware store where I've been for 30 years. I fixed neighbors' fences for cash. I sold my old truck and bought a cheaper one. I stopped buying coffee at the shop, made it at home, didn't go to the movies, didn't buy new clothes. Every single dollar went into a jar I kept in the closet. I labeled it Sarah's Dream. And when that jar got full, I opened a bank account just for this trip. I researched cruise ships. I called the booking company 6 times to make sure the cabin had enough beds. I bought seasickness bands for my grandkids. I ordered a waterproof case for Sarah's photo. I even got everyone matching blue jackets with our family names stitched on the back. THOMPSON Family Alaska 2025. I hung them in my closet and imagined the picture we'd take on the deck, all of us together. Sarah smiling from the photo in my hand. But that picture was never going to happen, because according to my son, I wasn't part of her family anymore. I put the phone down on the garden bench, looked at my hands. They were wrinkled, dirty, shaking a little, not from cold, from something else, something that felt like a door closing inside my chest. I thought about calling him back, thought about driving to his house, thought about asking him when I stopped being family, but I didn't do any of that. I just sat there in the garden, surrounded by Sarah's tomatoes, and let the sun warm my face. The birds were singing. The wind moved through the trees. And somewhere inside me, a decision started forming. Not loud, not angry, just clear. Like when you've been lost in the fog and suddenly you can see the road again. I stood up, brushed the dirt off my pants, walked inside. And I did something I hadn't done in 4 years. I made a list, but not the kind of list I'd been making. Not about travel plans or packing or schedules. This list had different names on it. Names of people who'd been forgotten, just like me. I didn't yell, didn't cry, didn't throw anything. I just opened my laptop, the old one that takes forever to start up, and I logged into the bank account. The one labeled Sarah's Dream. The balance showed $24,312, every single penny earned by MY hands. My time, MY sacrifice. I clicked through the pages. Found the section that showed all the bookings. The cruise tickets, 7 of them, the cabin reservation, the excursions in every port. The fancy dinner package, the photo bundle, all charged to cards linked to MY account, under MY name. Robert James Thompson, account holder. Authorized users, none. I sat back in my chair, stared at that word. None. No one else could touch this money without me saying so. No one else had contributed a single dollar. They just assumed it would be there. Assumed I would smile and wave as they sailed away. Assumed I'd be grateful they let me pay. I picked up my phone again, read my son's message one more time. "You already helped by paying, that's enough." Helped, like I was a neighbor lending a cup of sugar, not his father, not the man who taught him to ride a bike, not the one who sat with him in the hospital when he broke his arm, not the one who paid for his wedding when he and Linda couldn't afford the venue they wanted, just someone who helped. I opened my contacts, scrolled to my son's name. Michael Thompson, MY boy. I started typing a response, then stopped. What could I say? That I was hurt, he already knew that. That I was angry, that wouldn't change anything. That I wanted him to uninvite Linda's parents and sister and make room for me, that would make me sound desperate. So I deleted what I'd written, and I sent something else instead. "Okay, have a good trip." That's all, 2 sentences. No argument, no guilt, no begging, just 2 sentences that said nothing about what I was really feeling. He responded almost immediately. "Thanks for understanding, Dad. We'll bring you back a souvenir." A souvenir, like a keychain, would replace being there. Like a magnet would fill the hole where I was supposed to stand next to my grandchildren and tell them about their grandmother. I turned off my phone, not just the sound, the whole thing, off. Then I sat in the quiet of my house and I made myself a sandwich. Turkey and cheese, Sarah's favorite. I ate it slowly, tasted every bite, and I thought about what family really means. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the first time I knew something had changed. It was 2 Christmases ago. Linda hosted dinner at their place. She decorated everything in white and gold, real fancy. She had name cards at the table, little folded papers with everyone's name written in gold ink. I walked around looking for mine. Michael's was at the head, Linda's next to him. The kids spread out on one side, Linda's parents across from them, her sister and brother-in-law at the end. I kept looking, checked every card twice. Then Linda came over and said, "Oh, Dad Thompson, we ran out of room at the main table. There's a spot set up for you in the kitchen." The kitchen, where you put the extra folding chair, where you seat someone who showed up unexpected. I smiled, said it was fine, ate my dinner on a TV tray next to the refrigerator while everyone else laughed and talked in the dining room. When I left that night, my grandson ran up and hugged me. He whispered, "Grandpa, why didn't you sit with us?" I told him the table was too small, but the truth was bigger than that table could ever be. The truth was I'd already been erased. I just didn't want to see it yet. Now, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, I saw it clearly. This wasn't new. This had been building for years. Linda didn't suddenly decide I wasn't family. She'd been deciding it slowly, piece by piece, and Michael had let her. The next morning, I got up early, made coffee, strong and black, sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and opened that bank account again. I looked at the list of LINKED cards, 5 total. 1 for the cruise line, 1 for the excursion company, 1 for the hotel they'd stay at the night before boarding, 2 for extras, food, souvenirs, whatever they wanted, all set to pull money from MY account. Automatically, without asking, without checking, just take and spend, take and enjoy. I found the settings page. There was a button that said lock account. I read the description. "This will stop all automatic payments. All linked cards will be frozen. No charges can go through until you unlock it again." My finger hovered over that button, and I'll be honest, part of me felt scared. Not of them being angry, I knew they'd be angry. I was scared of what it meant. Because once you stop playing the role people give you, the grandfather who pays and smiles and stays quiet, you can't go back. They'll never see you the same way. But then I asked myself something. Did they ever really see me? Or did they just see my wallet? I clicked the button. The screen changed. Account locked. All linked transactions paused. A message popped up. "Cards will be declined until account holder reactivates." Done, just like that, done. I closed the laptop, stood up, walked to the window. The sun was coming up over the neighborhood. People were leaving for work, dogs were barking. Life was moving forward like it always does. And somewhere in that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not happiness, not revenge, just solid ground under my feet. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't bending. I wasn't shrinking. I wasn't making myself smaller so someone else could have more room. I was just standing. And that felt like enough. I spent the rest of that day doing normal things. I mowed the lawn, watered Sarah's tomatoes, fixed a loose board on the back porch. And I didn't think about the cruise, didn't think about my son, didn't think about what was coming. I just lived my day. Quiet, steady, my own. 2 days later, they left for the airport. I knew because Linda posted about it online. I don't use social media much, but my neighbor showed me on her phone. There they were, all 7 of them, matching luggage, big smiles. Linda's mom wearing a sun hat even though they were inside the airport. The caption said, "Alaska, here we come, just us, pure family time." Just us. I read it 3 times. Let it sink in. Then I handed the phone back to my neighbor and said, "Looks like they're excited." She looked at me funny. "Aren't you going with them, Robert?" I smiled. "No, ma'am, change of plans." She didn't ask more. I didn't offer. I went back inside and made myself lunch. At about 2 in the afternoon, my phone started ringing. I turned it back on that morning. The first call was from Michael. I didn't answer. Then Linda, then Michael again. Then a number I didn't recognize, probably Linda's mom. I let them all go to voicemail. I sat in my chair, the one Sarah used to call my thinking chair, and I just waited. The calls kept coming, back to back. 10, 15, 20. I stopped counting. Then the voicemail started. I played the first one. Michael's voice, tight, frustrated. Dad, the card isn't working. They're saying it's declined. Can you call the bank? We're at the check-in counter and it's holding up the line. I deleted it. Next voicemail. Linda, her voice was sharp. Dad Thompson, I don't know what's going on, but we can't board without paying for the cabin balance. You need to fix this right now. I deleted it. Next, Michael again. Dad, please, this is embarrassing. People are starring. Just call me back. Delete. Next, a man's voice, probably Linda's dad. Robert, it's Tom. Listen, I don't know what the issue is, but the kids are upset. Let's just figure this out like adults. Delete. I sat back, closed my eyes, and for the first time in 2 days, I smiled. Not because they were struggling, because I was done being the solution to their problems. The messages kept coming, text after text. Dad, where are you? Why aren't you answering? Is this because of what I said? You're being childish. We have 3 kids here. Do you want them to be disappointed? That last one made me pause. Did I want my grandkids disappointed? Of course not. I loved those kids, but I loved them enough to teach them something their parents weren't. That love isn't about money. That family isn't about who pays. That respect matters. And that you can't treat people like ATMs and expect them to keep working forever. So I didn't reply. I made dinner instead. Chicken and rice. Sarah's recipe. I set the table for one, said a little prayer. Thanked God for the food, for the roof over my head, for the clarity to finally see the truth. Then I ate, slowly, peacefully, alone but not lonely. By the evening, the calls had stopped. The texts, too. I figured they'd either found another way to pay or decided to come home. Either way, it wasn't my problem anymore. I turned on the TV, watched an old Western, the kind Sarah and I used to watch on Saturday nights. The hero was a man who'd been betrayed by his partners. They took his land, his money, his trust, and at the end, he didn't fight them. He just walked away, started over somewhere new, built something better. I thought about that, starting over. At 63 years old, could I do that? Then I realized something I'd already started. The moment I clicked that button, the moment I said no, that was the beginning. The next morning, I got an email. Subject line, booking cancellation confirmation. I opened it. Dear Mr. Thompson, your cruise reservation has been canceled due to non-payment. A full refund will be processed within 5 to 7 business days. We hope to serve you in the future. I read it twice. Then I leaned back and laughed. Not a mean laugh, just a surprised one. They'd really thought I'd cave, thought I'd panic and unlock the account, thought I'd come running with my wallet open and my head down. But I didn't, and now it was over. The trip they'd planned without me was gone, and the money I'd saved for 4 years was coming back, all of it, every penny. I sat there for a long time just thinking about what to do next, about what this money could become. It wasn't just money anymore. It was a choice, a chance to do something different, something that mattered. I opened a drawer in my desk, pulled out an old address book, the kind with paper pages and handwritten names. I started flipping through it. Names of people I'd known for years. Good people. People who'd been forgotten, just like me. George from church. His wife died last year and his kids hadn't called him since the funeral. Rita from down the street. She raised 4 kids alone and none of them visit. Stan, my old coworker, retired 5 years ago and told me once he'd never seen the ocean. I made a new list, not on the computer, with a pen, on real paper. George, Rita, Stan, Pauline from the library, Joe who volunteers at the food bank, Margaret who brings flowers to Sarah's grave every month even though she barely knew her. 6 names. 6 people who'd given so much and gotten so little back. 6 people who deserved to see something beautiful. I picked up the phone. This time I made the calls, and with each one I said the same thing. I'm taking a trip. And I'd like you to come with me. No cost, no catch, just say yes. The first person I called was George. He answered on the 3rd ring, voice rough like he'd just woken up. Hello, George, it's Robert Thompson. Robert, everything okay? Everything's fine. I'm calling because I'm planning a trip to Alaska on a cruise and I want you to come with me. Silence, then what? A cruise to Alaska? I've got room for 6 people and you're one of them. Robert, I can't afford that. I'm paying. Another silence, longer this time, then his voice cracked a little. Why me? I thought about that. Why him? Because his son forgot his birthday last month. Because he told me once he'd never been out of California. Because he deserved to be seen. But I didn't say all that. I just said, because you're my friend, and friends take care of each other. He cried on the phone, didn't try to hide it, just cried. Then he said yes. I made 5 more calls that day. Rita cried too. Said no one had done anything kind for her in 20 years. Stan thought I was joking, made me repeat it 3 times before he believed me. Pauline asked if she could bring her camera. Joe just kept saying thank you over and over. And Margaret, sweet Margaret, said, "Robert, you've got the biggest heart of anyone I know." By the end of the day, I had 6 people, 6 yes answers, 6 lives that were about to change, including mine. I called the cruise company back, booked the same trip, same ship, same dates, different people. The agent asked if I wanted the same cabin. I said no. I want the one with the big windows, the one that faces the glaciers. I want room for all of us to sit and watch the world go by. Over the next week, I prepared, bought 6 more blue jackets, stitched new names on the back, not THOMPSON family, just friends. Alaska 2025. I ordered 6 travel bags and filled each one with things they might need. Sunscreen, hats, NOTBOOKS. A little stuffed whale for Margaret because she told me once she'd always loved whales. I called everyone twice to make sure they had what they needed. Rita didn't have a warm coat. I bought her one. Stan didn't have a suitcase. I gave him one of mine. Joe needed help with his passport paperwork. I drove to his house and we filled it out together. This wasn't just a trip. It was care. It was attention. It was the opposite of everything I'd been given. 3 days before we were supposed to leave, my son showed up at my door. I saw him through the window. He looked tired. His shirt was wrinkled. He didn't knock right away, just stood there on the porch like he was working up the courage. Finally, he knocked. I opened the door. "Michael." "Dad." We stood there. He looked at his feet. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. He walked past me into the living room, looked around like he was seeing it for the first time. "You changed the pictures." I had. I'd taken down the old family photos, the ones with everyone smiling at Thanksgiving and Christmas. I'd replaced them with pictures of Sarah, just her, smiling, happy, alive. "Yeah," I said. Wanted to remember what mattered. He sat down on the couch. I stayed standing. "Dad, about the trip." "What about it?" "Linda feels really bad. She didn't mean to hurt you." I waited. He cleared his throat. "We know we messed up, and we were wondering, since the trip got canceled anyway, if maybe you could help us rebook. We found a cheaper cruise. It's not Alaska, but it's still nice. Mexico. And we thought, if you're willing, we could all go together this time." I looked at him, really looked, at the son I raised. The boy who used to hold my hand crossing the street. The teenager who cried on my shoulder when his first girlfriend broke his heart. The man who forgot where he came from. "No," I said. His head snapped up. No, I'm not helping you rebook." "Dad, come on, we said we messed up." "Saying it and meaning it are 2 different things, Michael." He stood up. "What do you want from me? You want me to beg?" "I don't want anything from you." "Then why are you being like this?" "Like what? Like someone who finally knows his worth." He stared at me. "This is because of the text, isn't it?" "It's because of a lot of things. The text was just the last one." He ran his hand through his hair, frustrated. "Linda's been stressed. She didn't mean it." "But you did. You sent it. You chose her words over my feelings. You chose her family over yours." Didn't have an answer for that. Just stood there, mouth open, searching for something to say. Finally, he asked, "So what now? You just cut us off." "I didn't cut you off. I just stopped being your bank." "That's not fair." "Fair," I almost laughed. "Michael, I worked extra hours for 4 years. I sold things I loved. I skipped meals to save money. And you told me I wasn't part of the family anymore. Don't talk to me about fair." His face went red. "We didn't say that." "You did. You just didn't use those exact words." He grabbed his keys off the table. "Fine, I came here to make things right, but if you want to be stubborn, that's on you." He walked to the door, stopped, turned back. "You know what, Dad? You're being selfish." And then he left. I stood there in the quiet after he was gone, and I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. Because selfish, the word he threw at me like an insult, wasn't true. Selfish is taking someone's money and ERASING them from the trip. Selfish is making your father eat dinner in the kitchen. Selfish is only calling when you need something. What I was doing wasn't selfish. It was self-respect. And maybe for the first time in my life, I was choosing me. Not because I didn't love him, but because love without respect isn't love. It's just habit. And I was done living out of habit. The day we left for Alaska, I woke up before the sun, made coffee, packed the last few things, put Sarah's photo in the front pocket of my bag where I could reach it easy. I stood in the kitchen, looking around at the house we'd built together. The crack in the tile from when Michael dropped a jar of pickles when he was 8. The mark on the wall where we measured his height every birthday. The window Sarah used to stand at, watching the birds. This house held a lot of memories, some good, some painful. But today I was making a new one. At 6 a.m., a van pulled up outside. I'd rented it to drive us all to the airport together. George was already inside, grinning like a kid. Stan sat in the back, clutching his new suitcase. One by one, we picked everyone up. Rita cried when we got to her house, said she didn't think this was real. Joe brought snacks for everyone, homemade cookies. Margaret took a photo of all of us standing by the van. The start of something beautiful, she said, and she was right. At the airport, we checked in together. The woman at the counter looked at our matching jackets and smiled. Family trip. I looked at the 5 people standing beside me, people who'd been strangers a month ago. People who were now laughing, helping each other with bags, holding doors. Yes, I said. Family trip. We boarded the plane. I sat by the window. George sat next to me. As we took off, I looked down at California getting smaller and smaller below us. Somewhere down there, my son was probably waking up, probably angry, probably confused. But that wasn't my problem anymore. My problem was living. And for the first time in 4 years, I was doing exactly that. The cruise was 7 days. 7 days of glaciers and whales and little fishing towns. 7 days of laughter and stories and watching people see things they'd only dreamed about. On the first night, we all sat on the deck under the stars. The ship rocked gently beneath us. The air was cold but clear. I pulled out Sarah's photo, set it on the table in the middle of us. This is my wife, I said. Her name was Sarah. She wanted to see this place her whole life. And even though she's not here, I wanted to bring her anyway. Margaret reached over and touched the frame. She's here, Robert, in all of us. Every night we did the same thing. Sat together, talked, shared stories. George told us about his wife, how she used to sing in the mornings while making breakfast, how much he missed that sound. Rita told us about raising 4 kids alone after her husband left, how she worked 2 jobs and still made it to every single school play. Stan talked about his years working at the factory, how he dreamed of seeing the ocean but never thought it would happen. Joe shared how he started volunteering after his daughter stopped speaking to him, said helping others was the only thing that made him feel useful. Pauline showed us photos she'd taken over the years, beautiful pictures of sunsets and flowers and moments most people missed. And Margaret, she told us about a son who lived 3 miles away but hadn't visited in 2 years. I used to think it was my fault, she said, that I did something wrong, but I know now. Some people just don't know how to love back. We all nodded, because we all understood. On the 3rd day, we saw our first glacier. It was massive, blue and white and older than any of us could imagine. We stood at the rail, silent, just watching. Then a piece broke off, crashed into the water with a sound like thunder. Rita grabbed my arm. Did you see that? I laughed. I saw it. She looked at me, tears in her eyes. Thank you, Robert, for bringing me here, for seeing me. I squeezed her hand. You were always worth seeing, Rita. Some people just didn't look. That became the theme of the trip, seeing each other, really seeing, not just passing by, not just nodding hello, but looking, LISDNING, caring. On the 5th night, we had a special dinner. I'd arranged it before we left, a private table on the deck, candles, good food, a toast. I stood up, glass in hand. I want to say something, I started. Everyone got quiet. A month ago, I thought family meant blood, meant the people you're born to or the people you raise, but I was wrong. Family is the people who show up, the people who see you, who choose you, not because they have to, because they want to. I looked around the table. At 6 faces lit by candlelight. You all chose to be here, not for what I could give you, but because you trusted me, and that trust means more than anything else in my life. George raised his glass. To Robert, and to Sarah, and to second chances. We all clinked glasses, and in that moment I felt something I hadn't felt since Sarah died. Whole. On the last day of the cruise, we docked in a small town. We walked through the streets together, bought POSTCRDS, ate fish and chips at a little restaurant by the water. Stan bought a carved whale for his grandson, said maybe it would make the boy ask about him, maybe it would open a door. Rita found a bookstore and bought 6 books, 1 for each of us. So we remember, she said. Margaret took photos of everything, every smile, every moment, every face. That night back on the ship, we sat on the deck one last time. The sun was setting, orange and pink and purple all mixed together. I held Sarah's photo up to the sky. "We made it," I whispered. "We finally made it." And I swear I felt her there. In the wind, in the light, in the faces of the people around me, she was there. She always had been. When we got back to California, we stayed in touch. We met once a week at a little diner near my house, ordered coffee, shared stories, planned the next trip because there was a next trip and a next and a next. We became a family, not by blood, by choice, by showing up. George started painting again, something he hadn't done in years. Rita volunteered at the library with Pauline. They ran a book club for seniors. Stan reconnected with his grandson, sent him photos from Alaska. The boy wrote back. Joe started a support group for fathers who'd been forgotten by their kids, called it Second CHANCES. Margaret put together a photo book from the cruise, made copies for all of us. On the cover, she wrote, "The family we choose." I kept mine on the table next to Sarah's photo, right where it belonged. My son never apologized, not really. He sent a few texts over the months, short ones. "Hope you're doing okay. Kids say hi. We should talk sometime." But he never said the words, never admitted what he'd done, never asked how I felt, and that was okay, because I didn't need his apology anymore. I didn't need his approval. I didn't need him to understand. I just needed to keep living, keep choosing people who chose me, keep building something real. One day, about 6 months after we got back, I saw him at the grocery store. He was in the cereal aisle with his youngest. I almost turned around, almost walked the other way. But then my grandson saw me. "Grandpa!" He ran over, hugged my legs. I bent down and hugged him back, held him tight. "Hey, buddy. I missed you." "I missed you too." Michael walked over, looked uncomfortable. "Dad." "Michael." We stood there. My grandson looked between us, confused. "Why don't we see you anymore, Grandpa?" I looked at Michael. He looked at the floor. I knelt down to my grandson's level. "Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes, and sometimes it takes a while to fix them." "Did you make a mistake?" "No, buddy, I didn't." I stood up, ruffled his hair. "But I want you to know something. I love you, always will, no matter what." He hugged me again. I looked at Michael. He was watching, eyes red, but he didn't say anything, so I nodded. "Take care of yourself, son." And I walked away. It hurt, but not like it used to, because I wasn't empty anymore. I was full of new memories, new family, new purpose. A year after that first trip, we took a second one, this time to YLLOWSTUNE. Same group, same laughter, same love. We hiked, saw geysers, watched bison cross the road like they owned the place. At night, we sat around a campfire. George played harmonica, Joe told jokes, Margaret took more photos, and I sat there, Sarah's photo in my lap, and I felt grateful, not for what I'd lost, but for what I'd found. Rita looked over at me. "You okay, Robert?" I smiled. "Yeah. I'm okay. You seem different than when we first met." "I am different." "How?" I thought about that. How was I different? I wasn't angrier, wasn't bitter, I was just clearer. "I know what I'm worth now," I said. She nodded. "That's a good place to be." People ask me sometimes if I regret what I did. Freezing the account, canceling the trip, walking away from my son. And the answer is no, not even a little. Because that decision didn't destroy my family. It revealed what was already true, that I'd been invisible for years. That I'd been paying for a seat at a table where no one saved me a place. And walking away didn't make me cruel. It made me awake. I think about that sometimes. About how we're taught that family means sacrifice. That being a good parent means giving everything. Your time, your money, your peace. But nobody teaches you what to do when the giving only goes one way. When sacrifice becomes expectation. When love becomes transaction. I learned the hard way that you can't pour from an empty cup. And mine had been empty for years. I just kept pretending it was full because I didn't want to admit the truth. That my son had stopped seeing me a long time ago. Now, 2 years later, I'm sitting in my garden again. The same spot where I got that text, but everything's different now. Sarah's tomatoes are bigger. I planted more, added peppers and cucumbers too. George helped me build raised beds. Stan comes over on Saturdays and we work the soil together. Rita brings seeds from her garden. We trade plants like they're TRESURES. And they are, because they're not just plants. They're proof that things can grow again. Even after they've been cut down, even after winter, even after you think nothing will ever be green again. My phone sits on the bench beside me. It buzzes sometimes. Texts from the group, photos from Margaret, Dad JOKES from Joe, recipes from Rita. These are the messages that matter now, not the ones asking for money, Not the ones making excuses, just simple, honest connection. Last week, Margaret sent a message to the group. I have an idea. We all waited. What if we did something bigger, not just trips for US, but trips for other people like us? I read it twice, then 3 times. What do you mean? I typed back. I mean, there are so many people out there who have been forgotten, who gave everything and got nothing back. What if we started a fund, helped them take trips, see the world, feel seen? I sat back, thought about it. About how much that first trip had changed me, changed all of us. About how many other people were sitting in gardens or empty houses, wondering if anyone remembered they EXISTED. I'm in, I typed. Within minutes, everyone else replied. In! Count me in! Yes, let's do it. Absolutely. We called it Sarah's Dream Fund because it started with her dream, and because dreams don't die when people do. They just wait for someone else to carry them forward. We each put in what we could. Not much at first, 100 here, 50 there, but it grew. We told friends, they told friends. Word spread through churches and senior centers and community groups. People who'd been forgotten started reaching out. Widows, widowers, grandparents who hadn't seen their grandkids in years. Parents whose children had moved on and never looked back. We read every letter, every email, every handwritten note, and we chose carefully, not based on who deserved it most, because they all deserved it, but based on who needed it right now, who needed to be REMINDED that they mattered. The first person we helped was a woman named Clara, 82 years old, raised 6 kids by herself after her husband died young, worked as a nurse for 40 years. Never took a vacation, not one. Her kids were all successful now, doctors, lawyers, business owners, but none of them had time for her. They sent cards on her birthday, sometimes. She wrote to us in shaky handwriting. I always wanted to see the MOUNTAINS, the real ones, the kind you see in pictures. I don't think I have much time left, but if I could see them once, I'd die happy. We sent Clara to the Rockies, paid for everything, flight, hotel, guide, even got her a wheelchair-accessible van so she could see everything. She sent us photos, her sitting by a lake, mountains reflected in the water, her face glowing, not from makeup or filters, from joy, pure joy, she wrote us after. I saw God up there in those mountains, and I felt alive again. Thank you for reminding me I still matter. We helped 12 people that first year. 12 forgotten souls who got to feel seen again. Some went to beaches, some to CITIES, some just to small towns where they'd grown up and hadn't been back in 50 years. Every single one sent us letters, photos, thank yous that made us cry. But the best part wasn't the trips. It was what happened after. Clara started volunteering at a hospital, reading to patients who didn't get visitors. A man named Frank, who we sent to see his childhood home in Ireland, started writing his life story. Said he wanted his grandkids to know him even if they never asked. A woman named June, who we sent to Nashville because she'd always loved music, started taking guitar lessons at 79 years old. Seeing the world didn't just give them MEMORIES. It gave them purpose again, reminded them they weren't finished, just forgotten. And forgotten can be fixed. My son found out about the fund, I don't know how, maybe he saw it online, maybe someone told him. One day he showed up at my door again. This time he didn't look frustrated, he looked tired and maybe a little bit ashamed. Dad, Michael, can we talk? I stepped aside, let him in. We sat in the living room, the same room where we'd fought 2 years ago. But this time the energy was different, quieter, heavier. He looked at the photos on the wall, all the new ones. Me and George at Yellowstone, me and the group on the cruise, Margaret's photo book sitting on the coffee table. You've been busy, he said. Yeah, I have. He picked up the photo book, flipped through it, stopped on a picture of all of us laughing on the deck of the ship. You look happy. I am. He set the book down, folded his hands. Dad, I need to say something. I waited. I was wrong about the trip, about how I treated you, about everything. I didn't say anything, just LISTENED. Linda and I, we've been having PROBLEMS. The kids have been asking about you, especially the oldest. He wants to know why we don't see you anymore. And I didn't know what to say, because the truth is I messed up. I let Linda make decisions that should have been ours. I let her push you out because it was easier than standing up for you. And I'm sorry. I'm really, really sorry. He looked at me, eyes wet. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed you to know. I sat with that for a moment, let the words settle. Then I asked him a question. Do you know why it hurt so much? He shook his head. Because it wasn't just the trip, Michael. It was years of being made to feel like I didn't matter, like I was only valuable when I was useful. He nodded, started to speak, stopped, started again. I didn't see it, I should have, but I didn't. And now, I asked. Now I do, and I don't know how to fix it. I leaned forward. You can't fix the past, son, but you can change what you do next. How? By showing up. Not when you need something, not when it's convenient. But because you choose to, because I'm your father and that should mean something. He wiped his eyes. Can I try to make this right? I thought about it, about whether I had the energy to let him back in, whether I could trust him again. And honestly, I didn't know, but I knew something else. That forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing not to carry the weight anymore. You can try, I said, but it's going to take time, and it's going to take more than words. He nodded. I understand. We sat in silence for a while, not uncomfortable, just quiet. Finally, he asked, can I bring the kids by sometime? Let them see you. I smiled. I'd like that. He stood up, looked at the photo book one more time. This fund you started, it's really something, Dad. It's not just me, it's all of us. Still, it's good, really good. He walked to the door, turned back. I love you, Dad. I love you too, son. And I meant it. Because love doesn't disappear just because someone hurts you. It just gets complicated. And sometimes, complicated takes time to untangle. But if both people are willing to try, maybe, just maybe, it can become something real again. 3 weeks later, Michael brought the kids over. They ran into the house like a tornado, hugging me, talking over each other, showing me drawings and TOYS and telling me stories about school. I sat on the couch and just soaked it in. Their voices, their laughter, their little hands in mine. Linda didn't come. Michael said she wasn't ready, and that was okay, because this wasn't about her. It was about REBULDING. One small piece at a time, we made cookies together. The kids got flour everywhere. The kitchen looked like a snowstorm hit it, and I didn't care because this was what mattered, not the money, not the trips, not the stuff, just being together, being present, being seen. Before they left, my oldest grandson pulled me aside. Grandpa, Dad said you help people go places. I do. That's really cool. Thanks, buddy. When I grow up, I want to help people too. I hugged him tight. You're going to do great things, kid. Now, sitting here in my garden, I think about how different my life looks than I thought it would. I thought I'd spend my last years being forgotten, fading into the background, becoming a name people mentioned at holidays but never really thought about. Instead, I'm more alive than I've been in DCADES. I have purpose. I have connection. I have a family that chose me because they wanted to, not because they had to. And yeah, my relationship with my son is complicated. We're still figuring it out, still learning how to be with each other again, but we're trying. And trying is more than I had 2 years ago. The fund keeps growing. We've helped 30 people now. 30 forgotten souls who got to feel the sun on their faces and the wind in their hair, who got to remember they're more than the roles people put them in. They're whole. They're worthy. They're seen. Sarah's photo sits on my desk now, right next to a map with pins in all the places we've sent people. Alaska, Montana, Ireland, Maine, Arizona, Oregon, each pin is a story, a life changed, a heart healed. Sometimes I talk to her, tell her about the people we've helped, about George and Rita and Stan, about the fund and the trips and the letters we get. And I like to think she's proud. That somewhere, wherever she is, she's smiling, because her dream didn't die with her. It grew. It became something bigger than either of us imagined. And that's the thing about love. Real love doesn't shrink when someone's gone. It expands. It finds new people to hold, new ways to show up, new reasons to matter, and I'm grateful, not for the pain, but for what the pain taught me, that I'm worth more than what I can give. That family isn't about blood or money or obligation. It's about presence, about showing up, about choosing each other every single day. Last month, we took our 3rd trip together, me and the original 6, this time to Maine. We rented a house by the ocean, watched the waves, ate lobster, laughed until our bellies hurt. On the last night, we sat on the porch. The sun was going down, painting the sky in colors that don't have names. George looked at me. You know what's funny? What? 2 years ago, I thought my life was over, that I'd just fade away and nobody would notice. And now, he smiled. Now I know I matter. Because of you, because of us. Stan raised his glass. To Robert, and to Sarah, and to second chances. We all raised our glasses, clinked them together, and in that moment I felt it again. That wholeness, that sense of being exactly where I was meant to be, not because life went according to plan, but because I was brave enough to change the plan when it stopped serving me. People ask me if I'm angry anymore, if I still think about that text, about being left out, about my son choosing someone else's family over his own. And the truth is, I think about it sometimes. But it doesn't hurt the way it used to, because I understand something now that I didn't then. People can only love you as much as they love themselves. And my son at that time didn't love himself enough to stand up for what was right. He was scared. He was weak. He made a bad choice. But people aren't their worst moments. They're the sum of all their moments. And he's trying now, showing up, being present. And that's all I can ask for, because forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's about releasing the hold that pain has on your heart. It's about choosing peace over being right. And I choose peace every single day. The fund has a waiting list now, over 100 NAMES. People who have heard about what we do, who want a chance to be seen again. We're working on raising more money, planning more trips, reaching more people. And every single time we send someone out into the world, I feel Sarah with me. In the planning, in the packing, in the photos we get back, she's there. In every smile, every tear, every moment someone realizes they're not invisible anymore. This isn't the life I planned. But it's the life I built, from pain, from loss, from a single moment when I decided I was worth more than I was being given. And if you're reading this, if you're listening to this story, and you've ever felt forgotten, ever felt used, ever felt like you don't matter, I want you to know something. You do matter. Your story isn't over. Your best days aren't behind you. And the people who can't see your worth don't deserve to hold your heart. So let them go, build something new, find your people, the ones who choose you, the ones who show up, the ones who see you even when you feel invisible, because here's what I've learned. Kindness without respect is just people-pleasing. Love without BOUNDRIES is just exhaustion. And giving without RECIVING will leave you empty. So I stopped giving to people who only took. I stopped shrinking to make others comfortable. I stopped waiting for permission to live my life. And I started building. A new family, a new purpose, a new version of myself. One who knows his worth, who stands in his truth, who doesn't apologize for taking up space. And you know what? It feels good. It feels right. It feels like coming home after being lost for a very long time. So if you're out there, sitting in your garden, holding a phone with a message that breaks your heart, I want you to know you have a choice. You can keep giving. Keep hopping, they'll see you. Keep waiting for things to change. Or you can click that button, freeze the account, walk away, and build something beautiful with people who actually want you there. This is Granny's voice, where the forgotten become the found, where the overlooked become the honored, and where silence becomes strength. We tell the stories nobody else dares to tell. The stories of GRANDPARENTS discarded, of elders erased, of people who gave everything and got nothing back. But we also tell the stories of what happens next, when you stop waiting for others to see your value and you start showing it to yourself. When you stop funding other people's dreams and start building your own. When you realize that being left behind isn't the end of your story, it's the beginning of a better one. So if this story touched you, if it made you feel seen, if it reminded you that you matter, then stay with us. Subscribe to Granny's voice, because when a grandparent speaks, the world better listen. And your story, your voice, your worth deserves to be heard. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are never invisible. You're just waiting for the right people to open their eyes.